Hello, welcome back, and thank you to all of you for joining me here today. It's always such a pleasure for me to turn on this camera and microphone and share with you. And I will say that while I appreciate all of the likes of the videos and the subscriptions, that's the subscription button, by the way, if you haven't joined us yet. Well, I appreciate all of this. What I appreciate even more than that is your dedication and commitment to your spiritual practice. Yes, just yes to that. That is the highest form of offering that you could possibly give anyone, anywhere. It's a much more important offering than an offering of money, which of course has value. Service in kind has value. Gifts have value. Sure. More valuable than all of that, and it's not even close, is your own dedication and commitment to practice. And you're here because you have a dedication and commitment to your practice. So for that, I thank you. So when I say thank you for being here, I really do mean it. This is what the world needs. And we're going to go on today to talk about non-duality and explain that there, in fact, is no world at all. Hear that for the first time? Welcome. Central teaching of A Course in Miracles. And Jesus says that explicitly. So these ideas that we're going to discuss in this video today may seem outlandish. And if you're hearing them for the first time, they probably will. And that's all right. Understand that when we experience judgment and doubt and fear, it's the ego that's afraid, and the ego does not exist. It's nothing. We've managed to put all of our faith in it, and we have indeed put our faith in nothing. We could instead choose to put our faith in everything, in the all. And we could choose right now to allow truth, the truth about everything and everyone. We could allow this to be just as it is. And that is absolutely the most powerful thing that you could do. Allow truth to be just as it is. And if you feel you need help, then you can appeal to your inner teacher for help. Please help me allow truth to be just as it is. Help me to relax and trust your guidance. How about that? The exact verbiage will be between you and your inner teacher. The inner teacher, in other words, the Holy Spirit, is part of your mind. The Holy Spirit's not outside of you. As we're going to see, there is nothing outside of you. There's nothing outside of God, so there's nothing outside of you. Let's talk for a couple of minutes about this thing, this concept, this idea called non-duality. It's worth coming back to this notion time and again. It is consistently one of the most searched hashtags in this video series and many other video series. So what is it? What's so special about it? Nothing in particular is the answer. And why is this so sought after and so mysterious seeming? It's not mysterious at all. There are certain spiritual traditions. This course, A Course in Miracles, is just one of them, that are what we would identify as non-dual, non-dualistic. And this is exactly as it sounds. Non-dual, not two. The idea here is that there is only perfect oneness. There is not two-ness or 8 billion-ness, even though there appear to be roughly 8 billion of these things running around, and countless other animals and insects and fish and microorganisms and bacteria and things like that. There appears to be multiplicity. There's no multiplicity. There is only oneness, perfect oneness. So when we say in A Course in Miracles, God is, we're saying there is perfect oneness. And what's implicit here is very important. We're saying that only God is. Only. Everything else is illusion. There is only God. All else is illusion. You may recognize, if you are familiar with the very ancient Hindu tradition of Advaita Vedanta, the saying that only Brahman is, God is. It's saying the exact same thing. All else is illusion. Everything that changes, anything that transforms, including energy, is illusion. There is only perfect oneness. Only God is. In fact, the definition of heaven here in A Course in Miracles is the awareness of perfect oneness. Yes. And when you allow that idea to penetrate your mind and suffuse your mind, it's joyful. There is only perfect oneness. And this is beautiful because heaven is not some exclusive resort. It's not a 5-star fancy exclusive resort where you have to sign in with St. Peter, the security guard at the pearly gates, whereupon you might discover that you're not on the list. Tough luck. Yeah, none of that. There are no gates. There are no fences. Because think about it, that's a dualistic concept. A duality posits a perceiver and a perceived, a self and an other, a world of opposites, where things appear to be distinct from one another, separate from one another. Duality is separation. Non-duality is truth. Perfect oneness. There are many spiritual traditions, clearly, in this world, There are many traditions, including the world's major religions. Each and every one of them leads to the same place. So, as I'm fond of saying here on these videos, there are many doors, and there are many doors. There appear to be 8 billion of us after all, so one door is going to be the door for someone to enter, and another door may be the door for you to enter, and they're all equally valid because they all lead to the same place in a manner of speaking. Only God is. Where do all these doors appear to lead? Home, so to speak. They all lead to the same place. There are some of them that focus on the simplicity of perfect oneness, the pervasiveness, the all-pervasiveness of perfect oneness, and they can, if you choose to use them in this way, constitute a time-saving, lots and lots of time-saving direct approach. Now, don't we say in the world that we want someone to give it to us straight? We do. We say that all the time, don't we? We want someone to talk straight with us, to get right to the point. What's the bottom line? Yes, we do. Now, we often say this out of desperate impatience, but let's give this desire to get right to the point over to our inner teacher. He will show you. There is only perfect oneness. The miracle of forgiveness, the miracle of extending love to your brother is seen and talked about here in A Course in Miracles as a time-saving device. When you learn a forgiveness lesson, you do not need to repeat it. And as we see, when we ignore the lessons that are right in front of us in life, they continue to come up again and again in different forms, and maybe louder forms, maybe more aggressive and violent, grab your attention kind of forms, don't they? The same with this. When we learn a forgiveness lesson, we don't need to repeat it. It won't come up again in the future. Time is shortened. This, what we call the spiritual path, all of these doors leading to God in the end, they're all paths that involve one thing: are clearing the veil that we've put over our eyes. We have interposed obstacles, walls, veils, fog banks between ourselves and truth. We think we've separated from God, which is impossible. And what we call spiritual practice is simply lifting the veil and allowing truth to be just as it is. This course involves our learning to see things as they are, rather than the way that we have made them. There is no separation of any kind. That's an idea worth repeating again and again and again and again and again and again. There's only perfect oneness. So here in the text of A Course in Miracles, at the end of chapter 8, section 3, the holy encounter, we see the idea that you meet yourself wherever you go. Why? There's only perfect oneness. Who is your brother then? Exactly. He's you. She's you. They're you. This is why it is true that so you see your brother, you see yourself. As you think about your brother, you think about yourself. Your brother is you. You may look differently or live on a different side of the world, but there is only perfect oneness. There is no one out there. There is no separation of any kind. We, as stubborn adult learners, need to hear these ideas again and again, because today might be the day where it really sinks in for you, and that would be wonderful. We just don't know, do we? So we repeat over and over. It's powerful. It's powerful because we're talking about truth. Truth, of course, is beyond words. This is an integral part of non-duality, which doesn't have component parts, of course. It's just one. And we do not perceive it. Perception is dualistic. It involves a subject and an object, a perceiver and a perceived. Consciousness, same thing. Consciousness is properly thought of as the domain of the ego, although it's elevated in many spiritual traditions and even worshipped, so to speak. I mean, it is, isn't it? Consciousness is not truth. The truth simply is. It's one. And consciousness involves a subject and an object. It is dualistic. It is. It involves an awareness of oneself and something else to be conscious of. So even that is ultimately set aside. We set all of this aside under the guidance of our inner teacher. This is the practice of A Course in Miracles. It's what we do. What happens is that while truth is beyond all concepts, including language, all we're doing here, all I'm doing is pointing. That's all any spiritual teacher here in the world can do is point to the truth. We point to it. Even here in the midst of our daily lives, truth can be known. It can be experienced. Even in the midst of running errands and paying bills and cleaning up the mess that the dog left on the living room floor. Day in the life, right? Even in the midst of this, we can experience truth. What we're invited to do is actively allow truth to be just as it is and ask our inner teacher for help, for guidance. God can simply be known. So we're invited as we go through daily life here in the world to recognize that when we see anyone else, a brother, anyone, we're seeing ourselves. As we forgive our brother, we forgive ourselves. Who else? Now, similarly, as we judge and condemn, who are we judging and condemning? Exactly, ourselves. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you always meet yourself. There is no one else. So, a very, very important Course in Miracles specific point here. In fact, It's not unique to this course. There are other spiritual traditions that actively posit that this is not you. You are not the physical body. And we know that we're not the physical body, or we wouldn't be here on the spiritual path. We know that there's more to it than simply all of this stuff that we involve ourselves in life. There's more to it than that. You are not a body. This course repeats this idea over and over and over again. Rather, you are the thought of God. Ever think of yourself as one with God? I invite you to do that right now and in the next moment, and then the one after that, and that. See where we're going with this. A very interesting and powerful idea from A Course in Miracles is the notion that ideas leave not their source. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker and were referred to here in this course as the thought of God, God's creation. Ideas, you and me, all of us, ideas leave not their source. If you're mentally capitalizing the S, yes, do so. You've never left your home in God. We're still there. We're simply clearing the barriers to our awareness of this, our constant awareness of this. We're allowing truth to be just as it is, and there is only perfect oneness. So this series of practices or spiritual traditions known as non-duality can be boiled down to just that. It can be boiled down to one syllable in words, one. One. It's beyond words. That's as close as we get. One. It's who and what we all are. One. All right. So this course is naturally going to generate questions. This is so no matter what your religious or spiritual background is. And it's also the case no matter how much time you have spent with this material. And some of you have been at this for 25, 30, 40 years even. Yeah. Questions come up because spirituality is all about self-inquiry. So to the extent that you have questions, I invite those questions. Please feel welcome to leave them here. And again, if you have not subscribed, this is the subscription arrow here, the red arrow. I invite you to go ahead and click on that and join us if you've not already. What we've got here is a very nice growing international community of people that are serious about their own spiritual practice. And this series of videos is designed for both beginning and experienced course students alike. So when you're asking questions, if you're new to this, or you're just checking it out and you're thinking about starting it, these are for you as well. There's no such thing as a question that's too beginner-ish or too basic. So if you feel like you should know it, I invite you to ask anyway, because there's going to be somebody that's been practicing this material for 35 years that's going to benefit from your asking the question, because it may be the 1,000th time that they hear the same idea that, boom, the light goes on. And they're inspired to put these ideas into practice. You have no idea the extent of benefit that you could extend to your brother by simply asking a question if you have them. All right. So I thank you, as always, for joining me And I will see you here again on the next video where we'll continue our journey through the text of A Course in Miracles. So, in wrapping up today, again, thank you for your commitment and dedication to practice. Let me know if you have questions, and I will see you again very soon.